Hi my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. In this week's tutorial I am going to paint a lovely little landmark. Well, it's not a landmark, it's a lovely little scene from the north side of Cork City. It's a little bridge down by the Angler's Rest bar. So it's called the Angler's Rest because it's a very popular fishing spot with anglers and fishermen alike. It's a beautiful little bridge with a little river going through, some lovely trees around it, some beautiful colours. I took this this morning when I was just driving past. I saw the sun was coming up and I just had to pull in and take a little snap of this scene. So I have a canvas ready behind me here. It's a fairly wide canvas. I don't know if you can see it. It's 24 inches by 12 inches. I'm not sure how that relates to the metric system, but I have a lovely canvas. I primed it just once and I gave it a quick sand with some very fine sandpaper. I have my palette here, lots of lovely colours, so a lovely colourful painting today. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. This will be a nice tutorial for those of you who wish to paint a bridge and to get the effect of stone on a bridge. But there would be so many aspects in this painting. There was going to be trees, bridge, water, sky, distant hills. So lots and lots to learn in a tutorial like this. I hope it turns out nice. So yes, grab your stuff and follow me along if you wish. Again, thank you so much for your support and do subscribe. You're missing so much fun. You have to just press the bell and the subscribe button as well, okay? So yes, let's go on, try this and have some fun painting. Okay, here it is. There is my canvas. I did a quick sketch of the scene just to help me get ahead. So it's simply a bridge going across, 3 arches. Now you will notice that the arches may look a bit funny. That's because one of the arches, you'll notice on the photograph, the arch in the middle is slightly higher. So I'm probably a bit high with this one here. So this realistically will go like that, okay? A little bit lower. But yeah, it's a beautiful scene. A bridge, lovely colours in the bridge, lovely kind of pinks and browns and greys. Lovely water and some trees and stuff like that off in the distance. This is going to be a nice one, I think. And I'll frame this then. Okay, let me roll up my sleeves and get going with this. So I have my colours. I'll tell you what I have. Titanium white, Naples yellow, burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow pale, alizarin crimson, cadmium red. I have lamp black, cobalt blue and phaylo blue. So lots of lovely colours for that. Let's start. A simple bright blue sky with some clouds, okay? I'm going to take some white, lots of white, and I have a little bit of thinners in this, by the way. Some turpentine with a little drop of linseed oil put in as well, just to make it nice and slippery. I'll take, let me try cobalt for a change. Let's go for a nice warm kind of a blue, okay? Now it's kind of in winter, this scene, so it's just kind of coming into winter, so I want to kind of try and add some cooler colours to give it that kind of wintry morning sort of a feeling. Do you know what I mean? So let's just try. Okay, I'm going to go with a touch of phaylo, just to make it a little more on the earthy side. There, I think that's a bit better. And I'm going to give this guy just a nice soft, bright feeling, okay? I don't want to go too much in the way of clouds and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to take a hint of cadmium red into that. And I'm going to put this sort of pinky colour just up on one side. My mix is quite wet, by the way. Quite a wet mix. I only want a very thin layer of paint for my sky. I really don't want to be going into lots of thick paint for this. Let's take a bit of white, add some white to that. Nice bright colour up here. I don't know if this is translating on camera. I hope it is. But I'm just going for a nice bright sky, okay? A nice bright morning sky. Blue sky, the sun is shining. A little touch of cloud here and there. And I will put in a hint of cloud as well. Little tiny bit of crimson. So I don't want too much blue in this. It's just a simple bright sky. But I do want the the colour to be kind of slightly warm, because this lovely warm colour on the bridge, I want to incorporate that colour kind of in the sky just a little bit. So maybe a little touch of cadmium red with white, and that tiny little hint of a kind of a mauvey pink will bounce off of the bridge. Does that make sense? So I just want to really, I want the composition to really work on this. I'll take another hint of cobalt blue there and just add a hint of cobalt blue on this side and just fill in the canvas, okay? Just go right across there, fill that in. Now, I'm going to soften this across with my brush, just to take out the brush strokes. I want a nice soft blue sky. There's a very bright morning sky. And what I'm going to do then is just suggest, let me just clean my brush very quickly on some tissue. I want to suggest just a hint of kind of cloud here and there. So I'll just pop some white on my brush and maybe just pop in a little bit of cloud, very soft cloud up in the sky, okay? Almost kind of softening this out into the rest of the sky. So you can see there will be a hint of cloud up in the sky, just a touch. And by the way, we have trees and stuff coming up as well, so a lot of this is going to be covered. Now you could incorporate this type of scene into something else, okay? Just take some inspiration, take some hints and tips from this and bring them into your own painting at home. It's just that, you know, I think if I can help anyone at all, just pick up some basic techniques, then I'm happy. So yeah, that's not bad. Let's just pop a little bit in there. So you can see it's kind of, it's there, but it's not. You can't really sort of see it, but you can see there's just a little bit of movement up in the sky. A couple of little clouds here and there, darting across. Now, so we're done with the sky. That's it, nice and simple. I'm going to move on to these nice distant trees, and you can see it's a sort of a lovely pinky brown kind of a sienna colour. So let's try. Let's go with some burnt sienna. I'm going to take some Naples yellow. Initially, I would have said maybe a little magenta. If I go with crimson, it might warm it a little bit too much. So I might just take a touch of magenta. I hope you don't mind. Let me find it. Now, a little bit of magenta. It's just the most gorgeous colour. I'll pop it here, look, okay? I think just to add a bit of distance, a touch of magenta might make a big difference. So it's that kind of pinky, fawny kind of a brown colour. It's lovely. More Naples yellow, a little more magenta. And the magenta is really forgiving because you can add plenty of it and it won't interfere with your mixing too much. So it's a very forgiving colour for that reason. So I have a nice kind of a warm colour there now. A little bit more. And I might take a touch, only a touch of cobalt, just with the corner, look, just with the corner of the brush, just to help give it more of a mauvey sort of a hue. Just a touch. But the hint of sienna in this should really help as well. Let me just have a look at that now. I like that because that will bounce off of the pinks on the bridge. So let's just go with that as a kind of an undercoat, we'll say. I'll take a bit of this white up here. A little bit of white actually might help give it more distance and more depth. Pop a little bit in there. Fill that in. I'm just simply filling everything in, okay? So, beautiful colours. It's kind of just starting to go into winter. So you can see the leaves are coming off of the trees. There's a little bit of greenery around, but not too much. But over here in Ireland now, we're really kind of coming into the wintry months. December, January, February, March. That's when we really get our winter over here. It gets very cold. Now a little bit magenta in there. Let's just pop it up there, okay? And fill this in. I'm just scraping my brush across. It's really sort of a dry brush technique. And just make that a little bit random, just along the top of the tree line. Okay, now I'm going to start putting some mauves in there. I'm going to take some cobalt blue, a little crimson. I just want to make a nice soft kind of a mauve, okay? And this colour will blend lovely with the colour that's there. So I just want to kind of create a little touch of distance in these trees. Just a little touch of mauve here and there. Just along here and there, okay? I don't want to go crazy with this colour. It's just to give, again, some depth. So it pushes everything back, you see? Pushes everything back into the distance. I'll just go with a bit more of that. Beautiful kind of mauvey colours on some of the trees. It's wonderful, lovely colour. Now I'm going to go a step further, take some white into that and take a touch of cobalt. And I'm going to put this soft blue. Again, I'm mixing everything with the same brush, look. Just allowing the colours to sort of blend together and pick up other colours. I'm just going to start popping in some light on some of the trees off there in the distance. Again, just to create a lot more depth in the scene. Okay? It's just here and there. I'm not going to go crazy with all of this. So that will do. Now I'm going to start darkening the browns as they come down. I'm going to start going into some sienna. Let's get this up here. And I might take a hint of black. Okay. More sienna. And I might take a hint of magenta as well. Again, the magenta just helping bring the colours together. Okay. So it's simply just a matter of dab, 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 dab. Picking up some darks. Okay. A little touch of black again, perhaps a hint of crimson with the black, and there's some nice dark pinky greys in there as well. Pop a few of those in. So I'm starting kind of going with my darker colours, and then I'm going to work some lighter colours onto this. Okay, that's kind of generally how I tend to work with trees and things like that. So just tap, 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 you see. Now I'm going to start picking up more sienna, because that's a beautiful kind of an autumny colour. This will be, I think, this will be a two-part tutorial. I'm thinking it will, because there's a lot of stuff in this. Now I want to pick up a hint of cadmium yellow, drawing in some warmer greeny browns into the painting. And I do see some really kind of dark colours in there. I'm going to take some black, some crimson, some magenta, and then a little burnt umber. I see some really nice kind of dark colours here and there popping through. So I'm just going to pop a few darks in. I'm just being very sort of random now with all of this, okay? Take a little hint of sienna. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush. So I have kind of the basis of the colours I want in. Now I'm just going to start putting some nice little foliage on all of this. Okay, so now nice bright foliage. Let's get some cadmium yellow, a little burnt sienna, naples yellow, and I'm thinking a hint of the black, just to give it that sort of mustardy kind of a colour. Do you understand what I mean? Because there's a lot of that colour in there. It's sort of a mustardy, a brown kind of a mustard. I'll take a hint of burnt sienna in that. And just with that loaded on the tip of the brush, I'm just going to start creating the tips of some trees here, okay? So it'll start merging together and we'll have some lovely colours going on. Okay, just like that. And put a couple up around here. Then I'm going to see some, I can actually see some nice sort of bright pinky sort of colours up there. I'm going to take some magenta with some Naples yellow and a hint of white. And I'm going to start popping a few bright pinky ones here and there, okay? And look, it doesn't have to look exactly like what you're painting, but I'm trying to get the colours, you know, somewhat similar. Because I just love all the colouring in this. So some cadmium yellow, some Naples yellow, and a little white. And I want to put in some real bright ones. Let's just say around here, okay? Like that. Now, let me just sit back for a moment. Okay. Now I'm going to get a smaller brush, slightly smaller brush, and I can see a little green field cutting in up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful green. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow, a little cobalt, and try cobalt for a change. Some Naples yellow, just to make it nice and sort of chalky. And I want to keep it warm, so I'm thinking perhaps just a touch of burnt sienna as well, okay? Now, let's just put that green field in up there. Just go right over everything. And then I'll follow across in front here with this nice green as well, okay? So this is going to be much richer. Some blue, some yellow, and even that might just be enough. Okay, I don't want it too kind of luminous, so maybe a hint of burnt umber in this, just to tone it down. And you can see I'm kind of just working with thin colours. Let me take a hint of black in that. Soften it kind of in here and there as well. Now, we have a beautiful dark shadow. I'm going to take some phaylo blue, burnt umber, and some of the cadmium yellow. We have a lovely dark, dark shadow cutting across. Maybe a hint of burnt umber just to warm it slightly. And I want to get that lovely dark green shadow just in across here, okay? And we can always just add little lights to this then later on, all right? Could take a bit of burnt sienna in that. And warm it slightly. And then you could even take a bit of cadmium yellow. here and there. So it's just really to help catch a bit of a shadow on the field. Now I can lighten all that again later, okay? But first I just want to come back and add some nice light into that field. So what I do is I kind of always put in the, let's call it the base colour, and then work on top of that. So I'm going to take another clean brush, or you could even use a palette knife for this as well. I'm going to take another clean brush, take some cadmium yellow, a little cobalt blue, and some white. And I want to get a nice bright colour for across that land, okay? Nice bright green, kind of a whitey green, let's call it. And I'm just going to go and bring that across, okay? And maybe a hint of it just in here and there. Like so. I'm going to take a hint of phaylo blue with some white, some of that green. Okay, because I want a lovely sort of a shadowy colour. I'll show you what I mean, okay? Just in here I want a nice sort of a shadowy kind of a blue colour. You see how that just sort of brings the shadow to life? Doesn't it? Just a little. Just kind of brings it to life. Only a little bit. Now, we have all little grasses and all that kind of thing in here. Also, we do have some little buildings and stuff off in the distance. Let's pop a few of those in. Let's get some of those little, nice little buildings off in the distance. Let's just pop a few of them in. I'm just going to take a little bit of white. And again, it's just an impression, okay? Because they're sort of hidden behind all the trees and all that kind of thing. So it's just, you see, it's just an impression of some detail. That's all it is. It's an old, it's a kind of a farm over here. Lovely little farm off in the distance. And it's hidden amongst the trees. So it's just really, just a tiny, tiny little impression of buildings and all that sort of thing. You see, let's just give it some darks. Take a little bit of black. And by doing this, what happens is your mind will fill in the blanks. So when you're up close to this, okay, it doesn't actually look like a little building or whatever. But when you stand back, you can then, your mind fills in the blanks and it tells you, well, yes, that's a building, that's a little farm off in the distance or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of how it works with painting. I'll take a little Naples yellow. Let's pop a little Naples yellow here and there, just to sit some of those down and to push them back as well. Okay, just like that. That's fine, that's all I need. And moving on down here, I am going to take some burnt umber, some of this dark green, and just start suggesting the very rough ground just around here. You see this very sort of rough bank. Let's try some black and some cadmium yellow. Pop some nice green in there as well. Now I'm going to take some burnt umber and pop some burnt umber just along the riverbank in there, okay? And even some burnt sienna. And it's only for the purpose of making it look busy. Do you understand? That's all I'm trying to do, make it look busy, like there's lots of little things going on. You see little plants, little grasses popping up. I've just a lot of thick paint, you see that? A lot of thick paint on my brush. It's really just to, as I was saying, just make it look busy. There's lots going on. Okay, now take my small brush and I'm going to suggest a tiny little fence, suggestion of a little couple of fence posts just in here and there. Okay, maybe a little bit of a string coming off one of them, like that. So it's just really, as I said before, just to capture your imagination. Put a little touch of light on those, and then you could even pop a little couple of lights here and there. Could be anything, just suggest little rocks and all that kind of thing. Take some of that light blue colour, pop some of that in, sort of leave it soften out, and that will do. That's absolutely fine. So we're coming on nicely, we're getting there. I'm going to suggest small little things like a little telegraph pole, for instance. Let me put another one here. You see? And it just tells a story, doesn't it? It just tells you a lot of what's going on. Pop a little bit of green in here and there. And this is all wet into wet, okay? I'm going to take some very bright colour, some nice of that bright green. I'm going to pop a suggestion of little leaves, little bush over here in the shadows, okay? It's just really going to help the bridge. And there we go. Right, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to put in this tree. I think I'll put in this tree, this lovely, lovely tree coming up here. And I might call that part one finished, I think. If I have to make 3 parts, I'll make 3 parts. Let's just have a bit of fun and enjoy our painting, yes? Okay, let's take some sienna and let's take some magenta. I don't want to give this too much of a dark colour, okay? I want to give it a nice sort of autumny, wintry sort of a feel. So these 2 colours, I took Naples yellow, burnt sienna and some magenta, and I'm going to do the initial tree with this. Now it's going to mix with the white that's already here, so it doesn't really matter. Let's just go and get the main bulk of the tree trunk in with this colour, okay? And from here on, you could really just sort of make this your own. You don't have to copy exactly, but I'm going to try and get the impression of the way that tree is. And we'll go to a little small detail brush then in just a moment. Now after that is done, I'm going to take some burnt umber and a little black, okay? I'm just going to start adding little darkness to the left hand side of all these. I want that nice and dark now, okay? Nice and dark, rich, rich dark colour. You could probably even use just black on its own. And get some of these lovely darks in on the backs of these branches. You see? Isn't that lovely? And from here on, it's a case of just go with that colour and let's just go and put in some nice branches, okay? Branches and twigs and all that kind of thing. And when painting branches, when I paint branches, it's simply a case of coming off of each branch with another one, you see? Like that. Do you understand what I mean? And you can keep going with this as much as you want, or as little as you want. But I'm trying to kind of keep the shape of the tree natural. So I won't kind of put too many clumps in one spot. Follow this up, let this sort of disappear up like that. We will have a couple cutting across this one as well. Then we'll go to this branch here. Bring a nice couple off up there like that. And it's just so relaxing to paint something like this. You know, it's very free, especially trees. They're just fantastic to paint. They really are. Now I'm going to go over to this one. And I'm just rolling my brush to get a nice little point on the tip of my brush, all right? You can then, if you like, add little bits of foliage. I still may. But particularly at the ends of the branches here, okay? Put plenty. Lots and lots of little branches coming off. Then I go to this one, pop a few on here. I don't want to go crazy with every single branch. Some of them would be very sparse. There wouldn't be much twigs on some of them. And others would be very, very heavily loaded. So it's about, I suppose, trying to find a balance in your painting, not to overdo it and kind of not to underdo it in certain parts as well. So this is a nice little branch. I'm going to put plenty on this. Lots of little flicks with your brush, you see? Small, small little flicks. Maybe bring one coming down like that. Sometimes it's nice to put a nice little random one as well. So like this, for instance, cut in front of one, nice little random branch, just like that. Do you know what I mean? Now, I think I'll leave it at that. But what I might do is add a touch with the same colour, a touch of, let me actually take some cadmium red and some burnt sienna. And I'm going to just capture some nice rich colour. Just a little of this on the tip of the brush, okay? And I'm just going to sort of capture some of these little bits of foliage here and there. You see, just there's only tiny, tiny bits. I'm not going to go absolutely crazy with all of this. It's just a touch here and there. So it's almost lost all of its leaves, but there's still a tiny, tiny amount left, especially just at the ends, okay? Yeah, that's okay. Now I want to put some more branches, some nice bright branches just around in the middle. I'm going to take some naples yellow with some white, and I just want to get some nice highlighted branches, okay? And just pop a few more around in the center up here. You can leave the sky dry if you like. No, that's fine. I think that will do. I don't want to distract too much from the bridge, you see. I don't want to lose the bridge amongst all of this. I'm just going to darken again, just one or two of those as they come down. Okay, just like that. Right. We've one more tree over here. I'm going to use some of that nice sienna with a little burned umber. Okay, I'll go with that colour first, and I'm just going to go right up like this. Now put a bit of an angle on it. It doesn't have to be completely straight. And then for these ones, this is like a fir, some type of a fir tree, I think. I could be completely wrong. These branches are just going to sort of come out and fall downwards like this, okay? And it'll get slightly narrower as it comes up, okay? Slightly narrower. And then we can start adding some little bits of foliage to this one as well. Now for the foliage on this, I'm going to use a fan brush, all right? I'm just going to take a little fan brush and I'm going to go with the same colour, burnt cyan, and a little bit of that dark greeny colour. And I'm just going to pop it on just like that, okay? The corner of my brush. Put plenty around the centre then, don't be shy. Just a very rough type of a tree, okay? Very rough foliage. Then we can take some Naples yellow and maybe a little crimson, okay? And a little white. I'm going to pop a little light on some of that. And that'll do fine, absolutely fine. Okay, part 1 is finished, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be right back with part 2. Don't go anywhere.